Ha! Hey everyone, Hassan here. Welcome to the world of Ha. Today I got another Power Rangers Dino Charge review for you, kind of stepping it back a little bit. These are the second wave of villain figures for the Dino Charge toy line. I actually never saw these in stores, and so that's what took me so long to find these. I ended up having to order them online, pay more than most people probably paid, unfortunately, but you know, I wanted to get them to complete my collection because I thought the villain figures were pretty cool. So these are it, guys. So these are the 5 new villain figures for Dino Charge, and this is what completes the Dino Charge toy line. Now there's new Rangers, new villains, and everything in the Dino Super Charge toy line, which I will be reviewing soon as well. I have a bunch of those figures coming up also. But in this wave, we have obviously the main villain of Dino Charge, Sledge. So he's right here. So let's kind of take a look at the packaging of each of these as I mention them. So here's Sledge, I mean, his design, personally, I was never a super big fan of anyways, you know, so I guess they did the best job they could at translating him into a toy. I know the initial time they showed the figure, like either a prototype or something, he looked kind of orange, and that looked terrible. So at least they made him more, you know, gold brown looking, so that kind of makes him look a little bit better. So, you know, not the best design, but, you know, I am glad we got a figure of him, and he is an original villain, which is great as well, so that's kind of neat. And the back of the box shows you Sledge right here, of course. And it has a little bio of him as well, so you can pause the video and read that. It's too bad they didn't release a Poisandra figure. They haven't announced that yet, so that's unfortunate. That's one that I'm hoping they release because they have Sledge and everybody else. So here is Stingrage. So he's another one of the villains in this wave right here. Stingrage. Pretty cool. And there is his picture and bio as well. So you can pause the video and read that if you would like. Pretty cool. Then we have Slammer right here. So here's Slammer. I just love the fact that we're getting all these villain figures. I mean, that is just awesome. It's been so long since we've gotten this many villain figures, and it is just, it's amazing. Because the villain designs are so unique each season, and so that's just, it's so cool to have these figures. We have Spellbinder. Oh yes, this guy. And there's his picture and bio as well, so you can pause the video and read that if you would like. And last but not least, we have the Vivizord. When you have all the Vivixes kind of grow big and combine and become the Vivizord to fight the Megazords. So that's also really cool, especially because they now make Megazords in the 5-inch line as well, so you can actually have a Megazord and a Vivizord to scale, which is really cool. So I dig that a lot. So not only am I really happy about them releasing villain figures, but I'm really happy with them releasing 5-inch Megazord figures because it really goes hand in hand together, and I think that just looks awesome. So anyways, that is this wave of villains for Dino Charge, so without further ado, let's get these open and take a look. Alright, we got the figures out of the box, and these actually are pretty cool. Now, just like with the previous wave of Dino Charge villains, you know, there's some that are hit or miss, some that are better than others, but for the most part, most of these are pretty sweet. So, let's kind of take a look at them from left to right here. So first of all, we have Stingrage. I'm actually going to move these back a little bit just to give me a little bit more room here. So Stingrage is pretty cool. He actually has a lot of articulation. So first of all, he has this weapon, this little spear trident thing that can be detached. But just to give you an idea of the detail on that too, which looks pretty cool. Zoom in a little. That's pretty neat right there. And as you can see, I mean, he also has plenty of detail right on him. Just the colors and the design on the face, even down to the yellow eyes on those things out there. It just looks really interesting. Yeah, really unique design. Even like the legs have all sorts of stuff on them, all the little faces molded on, like that's really cool. So they did a really good job of this figure, just so much detail all over him. Even on the back, you have little faces still molded onto the legs, so they didn't skimp out on the detail on the back either. And so he's mostly, you know, this dark green color, but a little bit of other colors, red all around, silver wings right there. So pretty cool. Now, as far as articulation goes, the head doesn't really rotate. It does a teeny bit, but not really. The top stuff doesn't really move around at all. The arms, though, have full range of articulation. They can go all around, to the side. You can bend at the elbow as well. The hands do not rotate, but, you know, the up here and then at the elbow, full range of motion there. The legs, you know, can move forward. Well, it can move left and right, and it's supposed to move forward and back a little bit, but I think just because of some of the plastic there, it doesn't go back too much, but it does move forward a little bit. He does bend at the knee. The foot does not move, but still pretty good articulation, so you can really get some good poses with this guy, you know, so pretty cool. I think that's always nice. I always like having more articulation for these figures because you can really get the poses that you want, so that's great. Then we have Slammer right here. Now, Slammer, in my opinion, is kind of the dud out of the 5 here, simply because of the lack of articulation, and even a little bit of the paint stuff just looks a little odd to me. So first of all, let's kind of look up close at the detail on him. The face looks pretty nice. You know, I do like the gold that they kind of use. Or actually, sorry, not gold, silver. It actually looks a little goldish in some of the light, but that's actually silver. The gold is down here. But one thing, like the little face or whatever that is, just looks a little odd to me right there in the chest piece, and then the one right there too. Looks a little odd to me, but still pretty neat. Decent amount of detail that they put on him, definitely. The back as well right there. So pretty basic figure. There's not much to it. He doesn't have a weapon or anything like that. Now also in terms of articulation, he's pretty limited. So the head rotates around, so you can do that. But the arms, like this upper piece right here, is all one solid piece. It doesn't move. So they only bend at the elbow right there, and they do not rotate. So only his hands can only move forward and back a little bit. The legs have a little bit more range of motion, so they can move around like that. But it's still kind of limited because of the plastic there, so can't move too much. And he does bend at the knees though, but the foot does not bend. And his feet are kind of, it just looks a little odd, but they are a little flat there. It looks like they're curved upwards, but the actual base piece is flat there. So, you know, it's an okay figure. This is one of the okay figures, I guess. But still, I like the fact that we do get a unique design for a figure, and that is also great. So, and then of course we have Sledge, the villain for Dino Charge, the original design right here, and he's actually, you know, kind of interesting. While I'm not a super huge fan of the design, I think they did a decent enough job at the figure, all things considered, and I think he looks pretty interesting, and he has a good amount of articulation too, which is great. So I'm going to detach the weapon for a second. Let's take a look at the detail on him. So he's got like this green, bright green color there, but then this gold all around. So there's that. So the armor right there. And, you know, decent amount of detail. Decent amount of detail. There's the back piece right there. So pretty cool. The gold does look a little shiny and stuff too in the light, so that is pretty nice. So that's pretty cool. Now he does come with this weapon, and this weapon actually, I was holding it like this, you know, because you can kind of fit it into his hand like that, but technically that's actually not how it's supposed to be. And I just realized that you can basically just click this in. Oops, it's blurry, sorry. You can just click it into the side right there. There's a little peg on the side of his arm, and it just slides right in like so. So there you go. So now it's really looking like he's holding the blaster properly. So that's actually how it's supposed to be. And that looks better. But I like that it's the same color as the rest of them. Now, granted, you know, I'm sure the weapon in the actual show, whatever weapon he uses, I didn't pay attention, is not one solid color like that. But at least it's not some random like gray color or something that doesn't match. At least it matches with him, and it kind of feels like an extension of his body, which is kind of neat. So that's pretty cool. Now he actually has a decent amount of articulation as well. So the head tilts to the left and right. It doesn't rotate all the way around because of the back of his head there. The shoulder plates do move up and down here, and they slide off too. So that's unfortunate. Let me try and click that back into place. There we go. So you got to be careful with that. I guess it's nice that it does that simply for the fact that, you know, when it comes to arm articulation, if it didn't move, you wouldn't be able to move the arms all the way up like that. So the fact that they do move off like that is actually a plus because of the articulation. Otherwise, there'd be no point in that. But it's because of the articulation. It doesn't hinder that, which is definitely a good move. I kind of wish they'd almost tried to do it with that figure with Slammer, but I feel like that'd be a bit more difficult. You can bend at the elbows as well. The hands don't rotate. The legs, you know, he can move them to the side, forward, back. He can't really move them because of the plastic right there, but he does bend at the knees as well. So pretty good amount of articulation. So, you know, if you want him to be like running and jumping, and you can't even see, there you go. I don't even know what I'm doing, but you get the idea. You can pose them in a whole variety of ways, which is definitely great. So pretty solid figure overall. So even though I'm not a super huge fan of the design, I don't hate it. I'm just not, you know, super big fan of it. It's a pretty good figure, and I think it's definitely worthy of adding to your collection. Oops, unlike Slammer right here. Well, actually, I take that back. I think he's still worth collecting because it's an original design. Well, toy-wise, like the fact that they're doing villain figures. It's not original, it's from Sentai, but... Alright, I'm starting to not make sense, so I'm just going to move on. Alright, Vivizord right here. Now, Vivizord looks really cool. I really dig the design here. Articulation-wise, it's very limited, but, you know, the design is great. I mean, just look at the detail on this guy. All the markings all over him. I mean, that's just awesome. All over. All the way to the tail, even underneath. Even the back piece right here. I love the spikes going around the side like that, which looks great. Just really nice detail all around. So it just makes it look really cool. Now, as far as articulation goes, the legs move, you know, that much. That's all they do. And then the arms can rotate all the way around, kind of. You kind of have to force it a little bit around some pieces of it, so I wouldn't do it too much because you don't want to break something, but they can technically do that. And that's it. I kind of wish the mouth and the arms, like if you could move this, you know, open and close them and do that too, that would have made it, you know, that much of a better figure. But regardless, it still looks really cool. So I still dig that. Plus, you know, if you have the Vivix, they really kind of match with each other. Obviously, it's because the Vivixes combine and grow and become the Vivizord, but at least, you know, it's nice that the two figures kind of go hand in hand, and they used, you know, similar colors for everything, so definitely goes together. But that's the Vivizord, so that's pretty sweet. And then we have Spellbinder, and this guy looks pretty cool. I dig this figure as well. Another solid looking figure. So let's take an up close look at him first. Yeah, I mean, just look at that right there. I like the nice, you know, gold paint they used right there. The little like crow or whatever in his head right there just looks really cool. Just really nice, solid stuff. That just looks so shiny and clean looking. So that's great right there. Yeah, so all around just really cool. Even down to the hands, the little design right there just looks pretty sweet. And it's got a decent amount of paint down here for these pieces. So that looks interesting. And his cape, of course, just looks neat. Anything with a cape just looks kind of cool. So, yeah, that's that. Pretty cool looking figure. As far as articulation goes, so the head does rotate all the way around, and the arms can move forward and back. It's just the cape is in the way, so they really can only move forward like that. There's no elbow. I was going to say no elbow rotation, but there's just no elbow at all. And you can't rotate it or anything, so they just move up and down. So the arms are limited in articulation, but the legs can move side to side, forward, and back as much as the cape will allow. And then you can bend at the knees. There's no rotating of the boots or anything. So yeah, pretty simple figure, but just looks cool. I like just the black, you know, design plus the little pieces of paint that they used all around, nice and shiny looking, just really kind of accentuates the design and just makes it look really interesting. So I like it. So that is kind of an up close look at all of these villain figures. they're all really cool. Some I like more than others, but I think they're all still worthy of adding to your collection. I personally love the 5-inch toy line. That's my favorite part about the Power Rangers toy line. I love collecting the Power Rangers figures, and I'm so happy to have more villain figures as well because these just look awesome. So I definitely recommend getting these, so go try and track them down. I couldn't find them in my local stores, and now the Dino Super Charge toy line is out full force, so these may be difficult to get. I have seen Sledge re-released in the Dino Super Charge toy line, but the others I have not yet. Maybe some of them are. I haven't looked too much. So keep an eye on it. You might have to look on Amazon, might have to look online and find them, but I think they're well worth adding to your collection. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later. Thank you all so much for watching my review of those Dino Charge villain figures. Here are all of the Dino Charge villain figures that have been released. We have the Vivix and Fury that were released initially. Then we have the first wave of villain figures with 5 of them, and then 5 more as well, for a total of now 12 villain figures in the Dino Charge toy line, which is amazing. So I love the fact that we have this many villain figures. So these all look great. Definitely worth collecting. So I mean, just look at that. Like, you have a whole army of villains, and then I can have an army of Power Rangers side by side about to face off. That is just epic right there. So well worth your time collecting. And that's not all. Dino Super Charge is here, and we have more villain figures like Snide. So I will be reviewing these soon as well. So if you have not subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button, because more Dino Super Charge reviews on the way, and we're gonna have more awesome looking villains just like this. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you later.